And it goes a little something like
You all summer and after fall, I'll keep you all summer. Guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you are new. So, if you are new, I am a clothing designer and I design clothes for myself, sometimes my friends, and most of the clothing that I make goes to me and my sister's group called ALC Clothing. The link will be in the description below if you want to check out the clothes there. And so if you're a clothing designer just like me, then I have some tips for you. So if you design on the app IBS Paint like I do, then I have 3 tips that I hope make your clothing better, or just make you a better clothing designer yourself. But before we get started, if you want more clothing tutorials and more clothing tips, hit that subscribe button, also that notification button, because I do have some tutorials in my videos, like how to make a shirt on IBS Paint, and more will be coming in the future. So let's get started with the video. Okay, for the first tip is, this tip will help make your clothing 100 times more better and just more beautiful. So it is to shade your clothing. I mean, if you're just a simple crop top, it just looks it's a solid color and it just looks one-dimensional. So if you do not know how to shade, here's a really quick tutorial. Okay, so I have this white crop top with absolutely no shading, so I'm going to shade it right now. So you want to add a new layer and then make the color a little bit darker than the actual crop top. And so yeah, before you start to do anything, I'm just going to turn on this symmetry ruler, and then I'm going to start basically outlining the edges and of the actual crop top, kind of like what I'm doing here, if that didn't really make sense. So yeah, and I'm just using this ruler to make it faster. So you want to basically do this and outline it, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want any lines intersecting. You don't want any lines that are too close to each other, and you don't want any lines that are off the crop top. And yeah, and if your lines are just a little squiggly, that's alright, because nobody is perfect at drawing lines, because I am clearly not. And after you put lines like this, you want to blur it. So get the blur feature, and I'm just going to make the brush as high as it can go, so it just blur faster. So yeah, after you blur everything, this is just for extra. If you want your crop top to have extra shading, I'm just going to do an extra shading for extra parts on the crop top, and you can add a new layer like that, and then I'm just going to blur it again. And so this is the final touch, and so I'm going to show you the 2 models side to side on what it looks like with and without shading. Okay, so I made a little, I put the crop tops on models and I labeled them. So this one has no shading at all, and it's just, I feel like, don't mind about the bad shape, because it is a little out of shape, but it just looks plain, and there's nothing really on it, and no design, no nothing. So it makes it really simple and not the type of clothing you want to wear. And this one, it is the same crop top, but I shaded it. And I don't know if you can see it, but I can clearly see the difference. I mean, the one with the shading just looks better, and I would definitely want to wear that. otherwise than the other one, and it just is more prettier and more complex. So shading is just one of the 5 and more ways to make your clothing better. Okay, so for the second tip to make your clothing much better and become a better clothing designer yourself is to play with the transparency. I mean, if you're a beginner, you don't even know how important and how like valuable transparency is, like what you do with transparency, because what you can do with transparency, it just makes the clothing better and just more complex and just more amazing. And you must be wondering, like, what do you mean play with the transparency? Like, who would want a see-through shirt? Or like, yeah, just, I'm gonna show you a clip on where I play with the transparency and you guys can look at the difference. So here I have a plain pink crop top, and I'm going to be showing you how I can make this clothing more complex with transparency. So first I'm going to eye drop the color of the crop top, and I'm going to show you how you can play with it. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just making the brush a little bigger, and I'm going to play with the transparency. And now look. So I'm just going to make the template transparent right here. And look at my brush. So I am basically coloring over the pink crop top. And like, you must be wondering, what does this make? I mean, like, what does it do? So I'm just going to finish coloring the crop top like I'm doing right here. And so you don't want the transparency to overlap, because then it's gonna look a little weird. And I'm just gonna crop off the extra transparency with the drawing tool, so it's kind of just looks a little bit better. Okay, now I'm going to wear this creation, and I'm gonna show you how it's better. Here is it, and I mean, it just looks so much more stylish, and like, transparency is like another one of the really a lot of ways to make your clothing better. Okay, for the last tip for today's video, it is related to like the actual making of clothing, but it's basically a tip for the people that put their clothing on models. So I'm not gonna really do a tutorial on how to do that, because that would take too long and the video would be so long. So I'm just going to tell you guys a tip on how to improve your models if you already are making them. So sometimes when you put skirts on your models, it's just like a square and you can't really fix it. So here's a little tip on how to fix it. If you have like a square skirt, then you can like crop the edges that are hanging off. This is just my opinion on what looks better, and I just feel like it looks just so much more better. And if you don't know what I mean and you want to know how to do that, here's a clip on how to do it. Okay, so I have gotten the skirt template, and now I am just going to edit the skirt so I can just leave a square. And no, this is not a tutorial at any such, because I would be more detailed on it, and so yeah. But what I'm going to do is just normally just cut off the black lines on the thing and then erase everything else. Okay, so this is the square, and I am moving it a little bit, and like, as you can see, it just looks a little off. And even if I do perspective mode and adjust it a bit, it just looks kind of weird. So what I'm basically gonna do to make it better is I'm going to basically make a little silt at the front part, but not too big of one, because you don't want it to show a little bit of the model. Like, only erase the part of the skirt that makes it oversized or like out of like too big. So I'm just going to do a little one like that, so it isn't too big, so kind of like that. And can you look at the difference? I mean, it is so much better. Okay guys, so that are the 3 tips on how to produce better clothing and how to become a better clothing designer yourself. So if you want to watch more videos like this and you want a part 2, make sure to subscribe and like the like button and hit the notification bell so you can find my channel easily. Also, comment down below if you want a part 2 of the tips, because I do have a lot in mind, but I didn't want the video to be too long. So yeah, comment down below if you want a part 2. And so yeah, and thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!